What is going on, everybody? So I am back today to talk about a new release film that I was really looking forward to see. And the reason why I was really looking forward to see it is because it's from a pair of directors who I really appreciate their work, and that is the filmmakers Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson. And the film I'm going to be talking about today is Something in the Dirt. Something in the Dirt is directed by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson. When neighbors John and Levi witness supernatural events in their LA apartment building, they realize documenting the paranormal could inject some fame and fortune into their wasted lives. So my buddy Ray and I have a podcast called the Film Monsters Podcast, and earlier this year, Ray actually introduced me to the filmmakers Moorhead and Benson. I've never seen any of their movies. I'd only seen posters and heard about them. And so I went through and watched their entire filmography from start to finish. And I loved a lot of their movies. I think they're incredibly talented directors. I think they have a really unique vision. And their last film, Synchronic, was my least favorite of their films. I felt like it was spending more time trying to be really audience pleasing compared to having their signature style, which was disappointing to me, that it was kind of leaving the form that they were so established and known for. So with Something in the Dirt, I didn't know if they were going to continue to go in that direction or if they were going to try to return to form a little bit and do something that we know that Moorhead and Benson can do. And I am happy to say that this definitely is a return to form. And while this isn't my favorite film in their catalog, I have a lot to respect about it. So obviously, as the description says, you have these two neighbors who meet each other at this LA apartment building. They start hanging out in this apartment together, and weird supernatural things start to take place. So the two of them decide to start filming it, which then ends up turning into them shooting a documentary about it. But most of the film is just really long dialogue sequences between the two characters, sort of trying to understand what is occurring, why it's occurring, and can there be any sort of logical explanation to it. And one of the things about Moorhead and Benson throughout their entire catalog, you look at films like Resolution and The Endless, where you have these really large themes introduced, where it's like there's time travel elements, there's all these things, but it's left very ambiguous. Trying to dive into and understand the logistics of it all doesn't really matter for those movies because it's just sort of there as a vehicle to get the characters from point A to point B and to keep the mystery alive that the film is going for. And then you have a film like Spring, which introduces this supernatural concept in a much more grounded way that doesn't really need explored as well. And then Synchronic was the first time I feel like they really dove into a concept and tried to explain it a little bit more. And this film really tries to explain concept in a way that, like, I don't think you're necessarily meant to understand. And obviously a lot of it is meant to be satirical and mocking of like these people who really play into really absurdist conspiracy theories and all that type of thing, which I really appreciate. A lot of the comedy in this film, I feel like it does hit really well, but I do think after a while a lot of these conversations get incredibly repetitive to where I felt like I was just watching the same thing over and over again, to where for the first time in history for a Benson and Moorhead movie I was like, okay, what point in this am I in? Like, am I getting close to the end? Because even Synchronic, I wasn't looking at my watch throughout the film. I hate when that happens. I feel like they were having a lot of fun together, and so they wrote these really extensive dialogue pieces. I don't know how much of it was improv, but it's like when you're getting the same type of conversation over and over again and just seeing like things float in a room, it's like, okay, give me something new to latch onto. Give me something about this idea that's going to keep me invested and engaged. And I do think Moorhead and Benson both give incredible performances in this film. I think they're both very talented actors. I think it's clear as to why they make films together, because they have a great rapport and a great chemistry. Every time I've seen them act, I've been really impressed with them, and they really keep the film alive, and they really do a great job doing that. There's a lot of callbacks in this film to some of their older material, which I thought was a really unique thing to put in there for the fans of their material, and I was really appreciative of that. But as I said, I feel like the runtime of this really is the detriment to the movie. It is so bloated, and it takes a really long time to kind of get to that third act punch, which was really unfortunate because I think the ideas here are really great. I love the contrast in the two characters, one being very free-spirited and open-minded and kind of all over the place, the other one being more like conservative in nature and like attaching himself to these crazy conspiracy theories, being a member of this wild church organization. And I thought that was a really cool dichotomy. I also thought it was really interesting to present one of the characters as homosexual and the other character as asexual. I thought that was a really interesting dynamic to create between these two characters and an interesting personality trait to give to both of those characters. And I always like when that inclusion happens in films and done so in a way that feels very natural. I thought that was really cool. I don't really have a lot more to say about this, unfortunately, because it really just is those long dialogue driven sequences that are supposed to build this mystery in your head, but at one point you just feel like you're so over flooded with information. I saw a lot of people online trying to compare this to Under the Silver Lake, because I know Under the Silver Lake explores a lot of really complex ideals, but I don't feel like that movie spends the majority of its runtime just throwing things at you expositionally to put in your head. It's a lot more through the visuals and the performances than it is just simply the dialogue. And so I don't see the comparisons being all there, other than it's a weird conspiracy theory type of thing. But yeah, other than that, I thought this movie was relatively entertaining. I still think it's worth your time. I did a Moorhead and Benson rank list a while back. I think this would be in 4th place of their 5 films. I think it would rank above Synchronic, but I don't think it's better than the other films that they've made in their list. I still think it's worth checking out and supporting independent filmmakers like Moorhead and Benson, who have a lot to bring to the table, and I will always support them and look forward to whatever they make next. So if you've seen Something in the Dirt, did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was entertaining, but it lacked a lot of things that I felt like it could have built upon to make it a better movie. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.